Back to that video last night, so hard to watch. LeBron had been playing well, leading the Heat in scoring. It was a close game, and then boom, that cramp, debilitating as so many of his teammates call it, forcing him to leave the game. He tried his best but could not return. He literally could not move. Today he was asked over and over about how it felt and whether he'll be ready to go in game 2, and LeBron clearly doing better and even having some fun joking around about his availability for that game 2.
Probably won't play. Nah, I'll be all right. I'll be in uniform on Sunday, and I should be 100% by Sunday. Obviously, I'm gonna take it light today. Training staff said I should take it light today, start to get the body another day to recover. Tomorrow I should be back on my feet, full go, hopefully. And I got all day Sunday to get ready for Sunday night, so don't worry. You guys can talk about me as much as you want. I'll be there on Sunday as well.
But I think it's a little overblown from the sense of this is not the first time LeBron James cramped up. It's not the first time an NBA player cramped up in a game.
There's no shaking it off. Your body is shutting down, and you're unable to move. Whatever it is that's cramping, you're unable to get away from it.
And James can't even put any pressure on it.
No doubt it was hot, but social media is showing no mercy for LeBron and his colossal cramp down. LeBroning is now a thing, with pictures popping up before the King was even carried off the court. More memes mocking the King, with Spurs fans jokingly calling LeBron the Iceman, an homage to George the Iceman Gervin, who starred for San Antonio in the early 80s. Even Gatorade giving LeBron grief, tweeting, quote, "The person cramping wasn't our client. Our athletes can take the heat," end quote. LeBron reps Gatorade's rival, Powerade.
I don't care. I really don't. I really don't care what people say about me. I really don't care about that sports group, the drink group that has something to say. I'm not even going to say their name.
Was it steaming in San Antonio? You betcha.
LeBron in the locker getting an IV.
But Will and I took no prisoners, sweating through our special post-game coverage. As for the morning headline writers, they had a ball. The San Antonio Express News writing, "Spurs Heat beat Miami," and ESPN.com proclaiming it was a hot mess in San Antonio.
Final minutes of those games because of the bad cramps. That game so important for the Miami Heat, and of course not having LeBron in the final minutes really was a difference maker. I asked Adam Silver, look, how could this happen at a major sporting event? And here's his response.
And usually
they take every precaution they can, and so does the league. Frankly, breakers and switchers are not on our checklist, and they have backup of virtually everything. This was a particular part, and it malfunctioned. Again, it's, I think, one of the novelties of live sports. This is reality at its best, and unfortunately sometimes things like this happen.
Do you think it had an impact on the game?
I don't know. I really don't. I mean, it was hotter in the building than we would have liked it to be, and how it ultimately would have turned out had it been a cooler temperature, we'll never know.
So for game 2 going forward, what precautions, what's in place, what steps are now sort of going to be taken to make sure this doesn't happen again?
Well, now we're in the process of flying in literally 2 of these backup breakers. They're about the size of a car battery, and so they're going to have 2 backups in the arena. They also have a concert and a WNBA game between now and Sunday, so we're going to have an opportunity to see the AC running at, in essence, at full blast around the clock. So we'll know if there are any other malfunctions, plus we'll be ready if something were to happen on Sunday.
The day after what could be called Crampgate during Game 1 of the NBA Finals, LeBron James' Heat teammates came to his defense for anyone saying that James wasn't tough enough to play through his cramps.
When Bron was sitting on the sideline, Bron is a warrior, and for him not to be able to run back down the floor, I knew when I saw his leg, you could see his muscle was contracted to the point where, he couldn't even move it. So, that's what he was dealing with. And
the severe cramping had James out in the biggest of moments, but it had his critics out as well. The consensus from the team is that a fan or media member can't really understand what that cramping is like.
Most people don't put themselves through a strenuous workout enough to understand what true dehydration is. The Zumba classes don't count. Not knocking Zumba, I'm sure they're very strenuous, but they're not going to dehydrate to the point where you can't even walk.
But if LeBron's teammates know anything about their leader, it's that he'll rebound in a big way. The bigger issue is how on such a big stage, an NBA arena wasn't ready to deliver the simplest of things.
It's the NBA Finals. It's the best, one of the best events in the world. And if you would have told me there's no work in AC, I probably would have thought you were joking.
Player in the world in the biggest stage, at the biggest time, late in the game, trying to carry his team. Remember, when LeBron started having the issues, the Heat were actually winning. When he finally left for good, the Heat were only down a couple of points. And when the end result came down, they lost by 15, which, as I mentioned earlier, has brought a lot of questions on whether LeBron should have tried to tough it out. Well, his closest friend on the team, Dwayne Wade, said that is just ridiculous.
Outside is, it's a cramp. Can't play through a cramp. But until you walk into until you're in that situation, until you're in someone else's moccasins, you don't know what somebody's body is going through. You've pushed yourself past the limit, and it becomes a point where it's not one cramp. Multiple areas cramp up. If a player like LeBron James coming out of the ball game down 2, then it's serious. And it's not nothing to be joked about. It was an issue, and if he could have continued to go, he would have went. Obviously, he could.
No, if I had to say today, I'd probably be out on Sunday. I probably won't play.
Wait, what did LeBron just say? Are the Heat doomed in Game 2 without the game's best player? Oh, wait, never mind.
Don't worry. You guys can talk about me as much as you want. I'll be there on Sunday as well. I'm not hiding.
The world can come at LeBron as hard as they want for leaving last night's loss to the Spurs. As we have all learned, James thrives on those who doubt him.
You guys should know me by now. I don't care. I really don't. I really don't care what people say about me. I really don't care.
We also know that if LeBron is upset at anyone, it's himself.
Disappointed in myself. Angry at myself that I couldn't be out there where I know my team needs me the most, and so that was frustrating for sure.
So frustrating that even in his condition, James wanted to head back out onto the court, even though his coach would have none of it.
Every time I looked down the bench, he would look up and start to do this, and finally when he stood up with 3 and change to go, I just looked at him and told him, not a chance. Come on, just sit down, and we'll take care of this. It's not the first time we've played without him in some extreme circumstances, regular season or postseason. We weren't able to get it done.
Storyline nationally with what happened last night in that Game 1. Cramping up, having to leave the game, carried off the court. Such a dramatic scene for the best player in the world. And today he's actually had to deal with some criticism, which LeBron, as we showed you earlier, said he didn't really care about. He doesn't listen to that stuff. But his coach came to his defense because he knows no one works harder than LeBron James, and no one wanted to be in that game more last night.
99.9 percentile of people have never pushed their body to that level. At that level where you're past the point where your tank is empty and your body shuts down. And again, for a competitor and for the best player in the game to, at this level, to constantly push his body past that point, I think is incredibly admirable.